All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out here so everybody can join in. 1 second. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I hope everybody had a great trading day today. Let me make sure this is coming through okay. Hold on 1 second. I think we're live. Sorry, 1 second. My control panel is there we go, there we go. Good. All right, well, I hope everybody's doing great. So today we're going to continue our conversation about day trading divergences. And today we're going to be using one that we've never talked about before. It's called the Detrended Price Oscillator. How about that? That sounds kind of neat, huh? So I thought it'd be a fun conclusion to the discussion today. So we'll talk about this one in a little bit. Before we get started, everything we're going to talk about tonight, as always, is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's take a moment and look and see where we're at with the market here. So you can see, weekly chart, bullish until proven otherwise, right? So big candle so far this week. This is a very, very big candle, right? 60-point candle, right? Took that last week spinning top and just was like, whatever, right? And closed at all-time highs. Well, is closing at all-time highs right now. Closed at all-time highs today, essentially. Here's your daily chart. Right, trend is bullish until proven otherwise. Right, we got macro trend line obviously all the way up, intermediate trend line right here, and we have this micro trend line right here that's still continuing to push its way up. And another big move today, up 21.65 points, and the majority of that was part of the gap up. Right, so we gapped up really well, and then today's range was only 11.91 points, so it didn't really feel like a huge up day, but it was. Right. So and they held it, right. So let's take a look at the price action intraday here. Here's the 15-minute chart, right? We had a little push down yesterday at the close, so that actually gave us an opportunity to get a big gap up. Kind of interesting, we just kind of chopped around really the top end of yesterday's range, right? Got a little bit scary for a minute here today, right? There was this inside 15, somewhere around here, right? They talked about the plane being shot down over Iraq with by Iran, or from Iran to Ukraine, right? They determined that it wasn't an engine failure, so Boeing got a bounce on that one. But found out that it was a missile that actually took it down, which is horrible. And our prayers go out to everybody, of course. And so what we see here though is it didn't react to that news. This was just sort of like it's like 40 minutes later, inside 15, and then down. It got to the low end of the 15-hour range. And then obviously they bought the dip on this one, so anyway, inside 15 up on that one. So it was a little bit choppy today, a little funky. Let's take a look at the price levels. These are levels that we provide to our members before every market open to make sure that we have good levels to work with each day. And you can see that they were tested pretty well, right? We had yesterday's high, right? So gap, basically just gapped up here. No open gap, no fade or anything like that. But we tested that level a couple times. Couldn't get up to this R2 level, but definitely held this level all day. So this is pretty impressive price action today. So good stuff. Well, I hope everybody's doing great. So today, again, we're going to be talking about day trading divergences with the Detrended Price Oscillator. So let's talk about that a little bit here. So the Detrended Price Oscillator, I'm going to pull it up here. Let's go to the daily chart. Okay. And let's pull it up. It's in Thinkorswim. You go to Studies, Edit Studies, and just type in Detrended. Let's use the defaults on there, 1440. This is what it looks like. It's pretty neat, pretty cool colors and stuff like that. And so, so the detrended price oscillator. So which one is this? So it's an oscillator that takes out the price trends, which is pretty interesting, in order to estimate the length of price cycles from peak to peak or trough to trough. So unlike the other oscillators, like the MACD and RSI, the DPO, or the Detrended Price Oscillator, is not a momentum indicator. It highlights peaks and troughs in price, which are used to estimate buy and sell points in line with historical cycles. So the main points of this thing are, right, is that the DPO is used for measuring the distance between peaks and troughs of the price indicator. Okay, so you have peaks right here and here. And this is what we're looking at, right? So you can see here at this peak to this peak, you see a little bit of a divergence, right? And then look what happened. We kind of came back down. So that's not exactly, again, the divergence is kind of a unique aspect of it. With the real point of this tool originally, let's go back 3 years here. The real point of this tool originally is to determine, how big a trough is or how big a peak is relative to prior ones in order to see if, like, hey, we've gotten overextended, right? So unlike the CCI, it doesn't use 100 or minus 100. It just uses kind of key levels, right? And you can see here between this trough to this trough, right? We were way below it, way extended below it, right? This is around like 200, and this got down to 300. So this kind of tells you, this is sort of like the McClellan oscillator in a lot of ways. It tells you if we're getting like extended or not, on our, on these down moves. And you can see it really kind of picked this bottom here back last year quite well, right? So it got way lower than this trough right here. It just showed how extended it was, right? And then we got a big move up. But it also helps with peaks too, right? Of course, the peaks just keep going up, right? But so so you get that, right? But basically the idea is what we want to look for here is look for since we're talking about divergences this week, we want to look for divergences, right? And so what we find is that one of the things I talk about, by the way, from trough to trough, is they look for a couple months apart, October, December, right? So they would look from here to here. They would say like, okay, we've really extended over this one right here, right? So we probably bottomed. That's the idea. So usually they say like within 2 months on these where you can find peaks, but I do find this one interesting as well, right? If you go a little bit farther out. Okay, so the other thing you look for is these these divergences, right? So one of the things here, right, you can see from here to here, right, we had a relative high, but you could also see on the detrended price oscillator, you had fresh lows off of this at the time, right? You can see these essentially went down right here, right? So that is a definite divergence, right? And you can see, right, it pushed down off of it. So now what's the difference between here and here? That was a different one. Well, it didn't get higher, right? You want to get a higher peak to find the divergence, right? That's the idea. Okay, so pretty interesting stuff, right? So this is a good tool to use for a couple different ways, right? To look for potential reversal points, right? So at this, which is really interesting with this, right? The last peak, this, a lot of these came up so fast, or it was a big peak. But you have this peak right here, right? We're nowhere close on this detrended oscillator to where we might be overbought essentially on the market right now. So how much higher could this market go? I mean, according to the detrended price oscillator, it might go higher, right? Maybe we'll get like a big spike or something like that to like 3,500. Then this thing goes up, and then it might be ready to go back down, right? So we're just continuing to ride the trend. I mean, it's bullish, still proven otherwise. So we're going to continue to do that, right? That's the idea. Okay. So good stuff. So how can we use that with our day trading? Well, go to the smaller time frames, right? So let's take a look. So let's go to the 1 day 1 minute on the SPX, and you can actually look for some pretty interesting divergences here. You don't find too many, right? But you do see some interesting things, right? Let's go a couple days out, okay, and look for some interesting movements, right? So you can see here, right? We definitely hit a peak, like a relative peak, from here to here, right? But we didn't really come down off of it too much, right? But sometimes you can see some pretty interesting moves, right? There are a few that do tend to match up. Let's see if we can see a good one here. Since this thing never reverses, this is a pretty good one in the shorter time frames, right? So right here, right? Put in a higher high, we did put a lower peak right here. So nice divergence intraday, and that led to a good move down on the SPX. Does it happen all the time? Not necessarily, but it's a nice confirmation tool if you're looking, right? If you look at different levels right here, like this one, for instance, the gap got filled right there. So that's the one thing about these divergences that I always like to look at, especially intraday, is are we testing a key level, right, of resistance, or or an important level here, like this gap, right? So you can see here, right, this day, this is on the 7th, right? We pushed our way down, right, worked our way all the way back up to the gap, and then we saw this divergence on the DPO. Right, so pretty cool stuff there. Let's go to the 8th. And let's see. We did see this one right here into the end of the day. A little bit, not quite the peak right here, but pretty close. So you had that guy, and you had that guy. Right? Nice new high, nice fresh lows, possible reversal into the end of the day. So anyway, good stuff. It's a cool tool. Play with it, check it out. I think it's pretty neat. I think it's one I'm going to use to, evaluate the overall strength in the market, or when we can, finally, possibly see a reversal in this market, right? So we'll be looking here, to see if we can get, over these peaks, this 133 level, maybe get like a huge top. Maybe we'll see that 3,500 move or something like that, and that might be it, and then we'll start to see a move down. Who knows what they've got in store for us, but we'll be ready either way. So, good stuff. All right. Well, at this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can. Try to wrap up early because tomorrow is Friday, which means it's option expiration day. So be careful if you have options that expire tomorrow. You don't want to get assigned over the weekend unless you want to. But that's not usually not fun for most people. But remember, theta gets really, really crazy tomorrow, right? It goes away. So you get big momentum moves. You gotta be careful, right? So if you don't want those momentum moves, look to trade next week's options. So good stuff. All right, the Dogful, what's going on? Buenos noches. Thanks for tuning in, man. AMD. Let's take a look. Yeah, AMD, pretty impressive stuff, right? This was on the radar today, big time, right? We were looking for a 15 orb trade off of this one today. It really didn't behave really as well as expected, right? We were hoping for a gap above these levels with its recent upgrade. Now, it had a big gap, and almost tried to put in a Morningstar reversal type move today, even though it's at the highs, doesn't really count. But we were hoping for a gap above this and get a gap and go. It just didn't get the energy today. I mean, the market really just didn't have a lot. But we did get a nice 15-hour breakout this morning. We pointed out on our live stream here today. Got through our pre-market levels. Let's get the... got through our pre-market levels. Closed nicely above that and gave a nice pop through the 15 orb, right, for a decent move up here, right? Nice 50-cent move on AMD, right? And then inside 15 came down with the rest of the market. Double inside 15 chop. Okay, so AMD, we're keeping an eye on it. Doji, we might see like a little, 3-star doji right here if it gives a doji tomorrow, and then it might turn into a reversal. So let's see if it builds here. Could be interesting. MTN, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Nate, what's up? Yeah, good evening. Apple, hope you're doing great too. Apple. Yeah, fresh all-time highs today. Again, I mean, it's tough to ignore the trend on this thing. So, big gap up, hit all-time highs, and just continuing to show strength. Now, it did get a little funky intraday today. This is pretty interesting, right? Because it just came out with news that it had good shipments in China, right? Better than expected, and then it's like right after it was like dropping. It's like, oh, what's going on here, right? So, I mean, the whole market is there's nothing really going on. I mean, there's Brexit news today, I guess that Parliament agreed, that they would vote for Brexit, but I don't think that's enough to really bring the market down here. But again, it could be anything. Anyway, nice gap up. Still looking strong, so definitely keep an eye on it there. See if it can defend this gap today. If it defends this gap, it could continue to get some strength. If not, it might want to fill it and test the trend line and stuff like that. So something to look at there. Amazon. Okay. Amazon's been interesting, right? So it's been struggling with a lot of these levels. This is kind of the key breakdown level right here. It got up to, obviously it pushed out of its old trend box right here, got strong, got to this level right here, and then got pushed back down. Came back with some strength with a huge gap up, and then an inside day up as well. And it's just been kind of chopping around these levels right now. So it does seem to be consolidating here. It could be gearing up for another breakout. Just have to keep an eye on it here. So, but also have to be cautious. And then Beyond Meat, it's getting there. Gosh. Intraday, right, it gives some setups, right? It does. We have a nice 15 orb breakout, right? Gets to these levels right here, closes above these levels, chop for a little bit, and then I move up in the end of the day, and then up after hours. So I mean, it's definitely getting strong. So tomorrow we want to see if we can keep this volume coming in, close above these levels, and then, maybe we can get an intraday move to fill the gap, or if we close decently above it, we could look to see if it'll continue its way up. It's definitely been pretty interesting there. SMDC4S, President accounted for. Thank you for tuning in. MTN, Mickey D's. Oh, goodness gracious, guys. We've been talking about this for a while. How like choppy it's been and all that stuff. But talk about, this is, when you go to the Dow Stocks, right, these are the ones you look for that, the Wyckoff method that we were talking about, right? You have your accumulation period, you have your markup period, you have your distribution period, you have your markdown period, you have your accumulation period, right? Now we have the markup period. So they've been marking it up, right? And the key was getting over this level here in the cloud. It did that here on the 2nd of January. Then it gave you an inside day, build up a little more energy. Boom, right back up over the cloud. Inside day, a little bit more energy. Boom, right back over these key levels right here, right? And then another pop up here to fill an open gap today. So it may want some rest here after it's done that. See if it gives another inside day and tries to keep working its way up. It's pretty impressive stuff. But yeah, our gap's supposed to reach the real body and not the shadow. Oh yeah, oh sorry. Yeah, so that's a great question, right? So we look at two different gaps, right? When we trade, with our, in the group. So one of the things we look at is here we've got the body, right, itself, right? That's the open gap fill, right? We call that we call it an open gap. But there's still a little gap there, right, where we got below where we closed. So we call that the closing gap. Okay, so it is a key level that we use here. So it's just that real body right there, the top of that real body. So there's still a little gap in there on the shorter term time frames, right? That will, most likely, unless something, unless it gets delisted, it gets filled, right? So we always look for those as key levels as well. So there's two gaps that you look for on each gap, right? You look for the closing. Sometimes they're equivalent, right? If the high, let's say you gap over the high and we close at the highs, right? They'd be the same. But other than that, you look for that closing gap too. Katie, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Happy Thursday. Yeah, let's look at Chewy. Chewy. Okay, so Chewy finally got a little bit strong here. Had this accumulation period, a little bit of markup here. Got out of the cloud, but didn't really do too much, right? So it had this nice candle here, but it's over like we call this like the cliff of the cloud. So you have to be careful with that, right? Because it increases like that kind of gravity space below it. Right, so it's kind of, it's hovering over this big cavern, right, this big cliff here on the cloud. So you just have to be careful with that, right? We've got a lot of, selling levels right here. Got some selling pressure in those areas today. So just have to be careful with that. At this point, we want this thing to try to get out of this area here. Maybe the cloud start to move its way up, close bullishly above there, and then it could probably, possibly continue to try to get into this prior congestions and all that stuff. But I do like how it's been moving up. Nice little doji sandwich too. And you can see here, right, here's your downward trend line from from IPO, and we finally got out of that trend line, right? So it's just dealing with all this stuff right now. So a close over today's high and a close over this stuff could, keep it going bullish. Alex, what's happening? Good to see you, CGC. Canopy growth. Let's take a look here. I saw something about that. Yeah, not really anything going after hours. Let's take a look. Okay, so again, we've been dealing with these levels right here. We got that macro channel that we just got over. We got over the 50-day moving average. Nice candle right here. Again, these levels right here are really key. It's the top of the trend box for us to get above. Right, so we're approaching the cloud by default now. So we'll see if it gets any strength over that, but we really want to see it close above all those levels, get out of the trend box, and then try to start to work its way up. And then GDX. I'd say the GDX and a lot of these ones that gap around a lot like this and the ADRs are tough to chart. But we do look for them, for hedge plays and stuff like that. But starting to droop a little bit, right? Nasty candle yesterday, got a little momentum shooting star right here. Now you have an open gap below in the cloud, right? So this thing looks like it might want to at least test that. So we'll see how it handles it. News can affect it, right? Definitely. Osiris, what's going on? Hey, what's up? Yeah, doing good. Here's your stickers. Your stickers. Let's see, STZ. Let's take a look. Okay, so Constellation Brands, right? We had earnings the other day. Right, got a little pop over those highs right here for a little quick move, a little quick trade off of that one. But it got pushed down by the 200-day moving average, so it needs to try to work and build itself above that, right? But I like how it's holding the cloud. Let's even get above that stuff, right, and try to continue to work its way up. Bizun. Another China name getting interesting. Let's see, Activate. So let's see, we got a fresh low right here, so that pushes the trend line here. Okay, so it's got some work to do for sure, right? We've got, these trend lines right here. Right, it's trying to get, so here's your real key levels you want to get above, right? You want to get above those guys, right? And then you get the cloud. You want to get into the cloud, then you definitely want to get over this guy. And then, we'd look to try to fill the gap and stuff like that. Okay, just keep it on your radar if you like it. Okta. Yeah, Okta's been, doing pretty good, right? We've been monitoring this one. Here's your downward trend line. Strong candle here above these levels, right? Consolidation day. Push up after, right? And today, gap, test, fill the gap, and then up, right? So we got this level right here we want to get above. It got a little bit of selling pressure there, seeing the breakdown, right? We have a closing gap up here too. So let's see if it can, continue to build. But real nice move once it got out of the cloud there. And then MRK. Yep, Merck had a pretty nasty day 2 days ago. Got a little fall through the downside. Came back, retested its prior trend line, and gave you an upper shadow right there. So we'll see if that can hold. Good stuff. Great tickers. Think Trade, what's going on? QCOM. Yeah, so QCOM looking interesting. Inside day. Right, this nice big candle here that got out of the cloud. Big kind of congestion zone right here. Failed to close over that right now, so that's kind of like your key level that you want to close above. Netflix. So yeah, same thing yesterday. Yesterday it closed above a lot of these levels, but it left you with an upper shadow today. It gapped up today and then kind of came back down. Tricky price action today on it, right? Just nasty opening candle right there, right? And then just kept on going down today. It was a little bit tricky today with Netflix. Just got to know those levels, right? So they really do. The daily levels, if you get those on your chart, they really help intraday. We use those on all of our go-to list stuff. Moomer, what's going on? Roku! Let's do this, Roku. Roku's been, hasn't really been participating in a lot of this recent, up move. Inside day down, right after this big shooting star here, kind of came back down, worked its way up into the cloud. Inside day, back down, but it's holding the cloud base right here. So you can see I've got all these are the levels that we use, right, intraday. So you can see it makes it really nice. When you go to your 15 chart, you know that this is daily cloud support right here, right? So it kind of came down, held the cloud today, right? Kind of drifting up a little bit after the close. So yeah, but nasty move down, shooting star. Inside candle, right down, 15 orb down, and just continue to work its way. Right? So hopefully it can continue to hold this cloud and then try to, work its way back up there. Delta Trader, good evening. Beyond. Yeah, so Beyond. Got to close above this guy right here. And then close bullishly above that. I love the volume that's been coming in. And I got a nice gap potential on it. Now it's drifting up a little bit after hours, so it still could be strong. CMG had an upgrade today, up 5 points. But failed to do anything stellar, right? So, again, main thing, this is your last level right here. Failed to close above that. Obviously, it's going to be a key one for it to build above. Good stuff. M-Hawk, what's going on? Yo, Bubble, myself, and the trading community appreciate you all the time for putting and sharing your knowledge and wisdom. Thank you so much, M-Hawk. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Thanks for your support and for your kind words. That's great. I love it. Matthew, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in, man. David, what's happening? Duke, the duck. How are they doing with their ash? Like their ash issues. They're having issues. They're always having issues. Anyway, double inside day on this thing. So let's see if we can get above those. Right, those double inside days we do like. See if we can get a pop over them. Then try to get out of this cloud here. Pep. You pick some complex charts. Let's see, because these stocks just trade really complex, right? But we're holding this minor downward trend line right here under the 50-day moving average, under the cloud, off an inside day. So, but it did close in the upper end of the range, but it's still below the cloud. So let's see if we can get over this trend line, right? And then close above that, and then maybe we can get out of this cloud thing. And then WM. Yep, nice moves. So we liked this one, right, with some key levels. It was about 50% of the range of this candle right here. We closed above it. Then we had a nice close above that, and it actually got a pretty decent little move up here. So just a lot of upper shadows coming into this selling pressure area. So just be careful there. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, so DC4S, very nice. Love it. Thank you, M-Hawk, again. Seneca, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. BA. Boeing. So Boeing has been so complex, right? I mean, it's just like, still working its way here. You get your lows here. Here's your trend line here. You're in this crazy trend box trying to get out here, right? I mean, it's got all these levels it wants to get above, and every time it tries to push above it, it filled the gap on this guy, but it gives you these upper shadows, which make it really tough to work with, right? So you go to the daily chart today, big move. You remember the market was going down here. Well, Boeing was going up because it's like, hey, it wasn't our engine that crashed the airplane, but then you realize it's like, okay, I still got tons of issues with all my other airplanes, and it's not really good news anyway, so it came back down. So, but it did give a nice pop today. It was actually catchable. So good. So that was Boeing today. Pretty impressive stuff. So we'll see what it does. We got spinning top right here. We'll see how it deals with that tomorrow. Osiris, how to use the Ichimoku in day trading. So, we got the, bunch of videos on there that we look at, but you look at the levels, right? I take out all the we've talked about that before. We take about the, all the nonsense lines that they have there. Some people use that, the Tenkan, the Shiku, and all that stuff. I just use the cloud itself, right? Because it makes good, support and resistance levels, right? Because it takes moving averages and it projects them forward. It's one of the only ones that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. Right, so you can use the cloud for a couple different things, and we've done a whole series on it before. I've got a whole series if you go through my playlist and look for the cloud. Right, you can use as resistance, you can use it as support, or you could use it as a momentum builder if you close strongly in the cloud to go for a breakout, or vice versa. Right, so if you get into it, if you close bearishly in it, right, you could look for try to get a breakdown out of it. It's kind of really the main ways to use it. And then, sorry, so the candle's inside the cloud, then right, you still want to look at the performance of it right inside the cloud, right? So I mean, generally here, right, you see Boeing got real strong into the cloud right here, right? But it was still an upper shadow, so you want a strong candle, double inside day. Then when it closed above the double inside day, then you're looking at some bullishness right there, right? Couldn't get over the cloud, but it was still a nice next day gap. Came back down, gave you another double inside day, came out over it. And this is what I was talking about earlier: is when you're coming out of the cloud, and you have a cliff. Right, you got to watch out over those cliffs, right? So this is exactly what happens right here. It's like, oh, hey, it's like Wile E. Coyote when he runs off the side of the cliff. And he's like, uh-oh, like that type of thing, and then down, right? So you got to watch that. It's a really cool tool. Even this one right here, see how that just thrust through the cloud right there? A lot of people think that's pretty extended, right? But that did give a nice move to the downside after that, and then they reversed off of it. So yeah, and you can use it on any time frame. You just have to get good at it on each time frame, whatever time frame you like to trade on. Regini, what's going on? Apple? Yep, all-time highs today. Nice gap up. Again, the key here is to see if it defends this gap. Right? If you can defend that gap, then this thing could really get constructive again, right? But if it feels that gap, yeah, it might give it some more time. That type of stuff. But yeah, all-time high is looking good. Tesla? Yeah, a little bit of a 180 reversal today. It's still holding trend. It came right to this crazy micro trend line right here. I mean, here's the trend line for Tesla, right? But anyway, yeah, 180 reversal. So we'll see how that holds today. A breakdown below today's lows could start to get it down to this next trend line down here. So just keep that in mind. And SPX. Bullish until proven otherwise, right? Same thing, your macro trend line, intermediate trend line, micro trend line right here, holding above all those levels, right? And today, gap up and a little bit of push up. Again, narrow range day today, but still holding trend, right? So, we've got a closing gap right here, right? There's where it closed, right? So it might want to come back, fill that gap, test the trend line, stuff like that. But generally, we're still moving up. Okay? Cha-chin, what's going on, LK? Yeah, how about old Luckin Coffee? Goodness gracious, doesn't it remind you of like Tilray and Beyond Meat and stuff like that? So it's like, here we go, coffee company. Just Ford Coffee Company is going crazy. Yeah, traders are just loving this thing, right? Huge volume that's come in right since the last earnings. It's just been kind of fun to trade, right? This is a key level right here, breakout level, a little bit of chop, and then boom, right to the upside, right? And then they're like, oh no, back down. But it held that prior resistance level of support, gave you an inside day, break that inside day out, strong, and then today they just went crazy on it, right? Just gave threw some more in it. Huge volume. I mean, biggest volume day I think it's ever had, even since since IPO time. Pretty big stuff. So we'll see if it gets any follow through on that one. So this thing might, who knows? This thing could go to like 300, right? And then it does that, that sharp decline. So you just have to just be careful with this one. But it's fun to trade if it gives you a setup. Osiris, if the candle is inside the cloud in the daily chart and the 60-minute candle is outside the cloud, down or up, how do you proceed? Well, trend always changes from the lower time frames, right? So, you go to the daily, for instance, let's just go back to what we were looking at before, like Boeing, right? You respect whatever time frame you're trading, right? So, daily still has it really strong. The bigger the time frame you are, right, the more powerful the levels are going to be, right? So, but then on the micro levels, right, they're just levels of support, resistance, things like that, right? So you go to the 60 chart, right? You're not really so much as concerned, right? Because right now, let's see if we can go back as far as the 16th ish, right? So here on the 16th, I can put a line right here, just to kind of show where that was, and you go back to the 16th. Let me see. All right, no, sorry, the 12th of December. So we go back to the 12th of December right here, and it's nice when you get this type of confluence, right? Oops. Big C11, gotcha. There. Okay, so pretty interesting stuff, right? So this line right here on the 12th, which is this day right here, also happen to correspond with a bearish cloud on the hourly chart, okay? So at that point, right, you're looking for, setups there. So this is the 12th, right? So this level right here was your cloud resistance on the daily, right? It also happens to be cloud resistance on the hourly, right? So from there, right, you have your inside candle right here that failed to get into the cloud. That served as resistance even off the daily, and then you get a pretty decent intraday move down. And ultimately, it went down that day, from 3 348 down to 341. Right now, it gave some moves, between there, and then you go to your lower your lower term time frames, and you look at the price action there to see how it's behaving, right? So that's how you do it, right? You just incorporate the levels, into each other, right? So it's nice when you get that type of confluence, right? You can see it was bearish, or tradable to the downside off of the 60-minute cloud. So good, Bob B, what's going on? What happened to AMD today? Well, AMD got an upgrade, and then it downgraded itself intraday, right? I mean, it had this. I know it really looked like it was getting ready to fly, right? This big gap up right here, but you had these pre-market levels here. But it was important, right? This first 15-minute candle got above all those levels, gave you a 15-minute warp high, gave you a nice breakout, gave you a decent move, 49 cents. I'm sorry, 49.36. All the way up to 49.90 for a 60-cent move, which is a big move for AMD. And then that was it. Came back really quick, chopped around up here, tested those highs again, said nope, inside 15, came down with the rest of the market, and then just held basically the pre-market lows and the 15-hour blow. And that was basically it. I know it was nasty. I just gave you this doji to deal with. So good volume, but just needed to close above these guys is really the key. So that's kind of the next level right there. And then of course today's high is going to be important for it to get over. But with all respect to AMD, it is hanging out at near all-time highs. So, and it took it 40 years or 20 years to get there. So anyway, good stuff. LMT, yes, this one's been hot, right? So this is a great one here. This candle was perfect, right? We love this. We actually swung this one that night. It was a great day the next day. The war, this type stuff was starting to happen, right? We had a big bullish close above all these levels, right? And then it was just a nice candle to be in, right? And then boom, you gap up and get this nice run to the upside. Now it's just kind of, doing a little, bull pennant, maybe bull flag type thing right now. Inside day, we'll see what it does. It's definitely been interesting, right? But this was the move right there. So, but good stuff. MO, yeah. MTN, word. MTN, yeah, my pleasure. Alex, work. Don't slack off. You gotta work, right? Okay. Anyway, so work is trying right here. It's very, very similar to a lot of the ones we've been looking at here, especially these IPO type ones. Big consolidation right here, possible accumulation period. Right now, it's trying to work its way out. Right, we're getting out of the cloud. We're getting all these levels. Tried to do it the other day, so it's just kind of holding right here. If we can get a nice close above these guys with some good volume, this thing could start to work its way up. For real. And good. Wendy, how's it going? Good morning. Hope everything is great in Singapore. Rita. Oh, Rita. Oh, Rita, oh, Rita. So, Rita has consolidated all the way to the cloud, but if you guys want to see what Rita had done, look at this. Pretty incredible move, right? So this is an impressive stuff, right? It consolidated right to the cloud, right? So now it's at the 50 moving day average is caught up. You might want to work its way out of here. But guys, this was an incredible move right here. Members asked about this, or sorry, y'all asked about this on the live stream not too long ago, back in August. Right, with this upward trend line right here, worked its way down, held the cloud. This downward trend line right here, closed above this level. This is your breakout candle right here. Closed above this level bullishly with increased volume. That's the day you want to look to swing it. And guys, how about that? 2 days later to be from there to there, and then look how high it went from there to there. So, then it's just been kind of this choppy period here. All the way to these levels here. So we're kind of doing this type of stuff. So we just need to see how it holds the cloud inside day, tag the cloud bottom. Eventually might give another setup to the upside. But anyway, that was amazing right there. Incredible stuff. CLDX. CLDX. Good. Interesting. Okay, this is a nice move right here. This candle, nice breakout candle over this guy for a nice, overnight move up there. Kind of pull back a little bit. Now you got these key levels to deal with. Just having trouble closing above them. I tried to do it here over the cloud. It came back down. So again, you get your 2-day moving average right there. Let's try to get above that, and then maybe we could work its way up to that guy. MDB. MDB. Big move today. Gap. Go. Right, got over this guy right here. That was important. Filled the gap. That was good. Ran into these guys. So the move was over, right? But big move today. Looks like it's floating in space right now, so watch this open gap. See how it behaves in this range. But yeah, great move today. IBB. The IB. Here to here to here. Nice moves. Let's see if we can close above that guy. and try to work our way up. Cost. Oh, what a phenomenal overnight move on this thing. For Costco, that's a big deal, right? Inside day, strong close into the cloud, gap up on its comparable store numbers. So and then gave a little bit of a move at the open, then kind of pulled back in. So now it's kind of doing the Costco thing. It likes to do these shadows and just kind of chop around for it. But sometimes you get these nice moves off of it. So not surprised to see it up too. Every time you go by it, the place is packed. Twilio. Yeah, Twilio with a nice strong close today. We like this one today. This was a nice close over these levels. Increased volume. It's got room to go. 200-day moving average is up here. Open gap is right here. Twilio's looking strong. In fact, that should go on the game plan for tomorrow. Let me put that on there. Nice one. Okay. So that. And then Twilio. That looks good. Very, very good. Joseph, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in, man. Google. The Googmeister. Google. Good stuff here. Google's been really, really hard to trade, right? Kind of coming up all these levels. Closed bullishly above here with a big, strong candle the other day. This is kind of the most bullish one in the market. One of the most bullish ones there, right? And it has got some nice follow through to the upside on that. So see how it handles these levels up here. But yeah, nice move to get here. For sure. Cloud Guy, what's going on? FL. Let's take a look. Thank you for bringing this one up. We were tracking this one the other day. Had some nasty candles here. Got a nice move down off of that. Tried to work its way up. We got an upper shadow at the 50% range of that big candle and came back down for some follow through today. And it's still looking pretty nasty. It might want to test those levels there. Footlocker also goes on the game plan for tomorrow. I like that one for a bearish one. And Etsy. Etsy. It's trying. See if we can close above the this open gap window, entering the open gap window here. We looked at it the other day. But let's see if we can close above it, next couple days, some increased volume and try to work its way out. Good. Archival, what's going on? Archibald, what's up? BIIB? Let's take a look. Sorry for the pronunciation. All right, good. So yeah, BIIB has just been so crazy up in these levels. It's like in its own fresh market up here. It's like, oh, what's all that down here? Don't worry about it. We're dealing with it up here. So again, kind of similar to that Rita, not quite as smooth, but some crazy moves up and down. But it's finally got to the cloud right here. Got a spinning top right here at the 50-day moving average. Let's see if we can close above today's high and try to work its way up to a couple of those other prior levels. And then, yeah, my pleasure. MHawk, Vail Resorts, yes. Do you want to see that one? Why not? Strong close. There you go. Doing well. It's winter season, right? Nice close up here. Good volume. Let's do it. Go on up and then ride the black diamond down. Nice. Appreciate it. Jay, what's going on? Oh, no. Well, glad you made it. Let's take a look. You got the Pep Yum crowd party. PEP. We looked at that a little bit earlier, but we'll take another look at it right here. So we got this downward trend line right here. See if we can close above these levels. Over the cloud. Work its way out. Yum. 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 Let's see. We got this going on right here. Rejected those levels. Tomorrow's high, or today's high, is going to be key for it to get over it, right? To try to start working on this gap. It's been getting some pops on that Grub news, and then Grub came out and said, like, oh no, we're not trying to get acquired. They liked the rumor, though, didn't they? Anyway, so CRWD needs to get over these levels right here. Lots of volume's been coming in. It's starting to get strong, but again, this guy right here is going to be key. And PRTY? Party City! Hey, I love this. This trend line here looks just like a moving average, right? So again, all these levels are good. That's your main level right here. That's your temporary level right there. See if we can get over those. And just to show you guys Grub, I like how they waited like 2 days to say they weren't being acquired. It's like, yeah, we'll keep this rumor, right? Whoever the CEO, whoever's got like all the stock options in the company. Oh, we won't say anything for a little bit. This is going pretty well for us, right? So, but yeah, it's down after hours. So let's take a look. Down a little bit there, but they sure love that run up for sure. Yeah, Grub can move when it wants to move. Managed to fill a gap too. Still got a closing gap around here, so something to look at. 200-day moving average above. Could be in play tomorrow. Session, what's going on? Vive. Vive with the triple inside 60 to close the day. Look at that. Can we say pennant? Keep an eye on Vive. Big moves too. Right, nice moves to 50-day moving average. Lots of these software names are getting, really starting to show some, some good setups. And then HLT. Yeah, this came up on the radar too recently. Again, let's see if we can get over a couple of these levels right here. You got that. So get below. Right, here's your stuff. There. Needs a nice bullish close. Then you can fill that closing gap above. MIK. Had a big move the other day. A couple days ago. That big candle right there. It was looking pretty good. 3 black crows on the way down, so watch that one. But it's holding that price support level right there. So see how it does. It looks like it wants to get in the cloud and do its cloud thing in there. We'll keep an eye on it. Wendy, yeah, my pleasure. J T, Mr. T. Pity the fool who doesn't trade this. So topping tail yesterday, gap down today, held the 50-day moving average. So we can get over today's highs, try to get back into that gap. And AbbVie. Okay, so AbbVie, key levels to get above are going to be here, here, and here. Here, and here. And any after hours, a little bit up after. I think they made some sort of statement after hours today. But it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. So, yeah, it looks like it's consolidating right here. Just make sure it's not a distribution phase, right? That'd be under these guys. And but still, yeah, bullish until proven otherwise. Macro-wise. And then into it. Yeah, a couple levels here. You get your 50% line right there. Upper shadow at that pivot. It's a little selling pressure right there. So we really want to see it get over today's highs with some more volume. Try to get strong again. Good. And the other party's over. Exactly. So, but glad you made it. Glad you made it. Better late than never. So, good stuff. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. Great chart requests. I'm glad we got to talk about the Detrended price oscillator tonight. If you're new here, definitely click subscribe on YouTube. And and definitely T for X dividend. Good point, Thomas. Absolutely. If you're new here, definitely subscribe to YouTube. If you've been here, smash the like button. We always enjoy that. And also check out the links in the description too. So, cheers, M Hawk. It's always good to see you, man. And appreciate all your support. And I hope everybody has a great evening tonight. Looking forward to a fun trading day tomorrow on Friday. And then we got the weekend. So everybody have a great rest of your evening. And remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. I'll talk to you soon.